I'm outside. I just want to show you how gross this screen is. So I'm doing this because it's small in the back of my truck. So the look at this screen. I mean, come on, dude, that is nasty. Even vacuuming it didn't help. Just to show you, I have a little bit of that tastes nasty too. Even after doing that, it's still crap. You know what I'm gonna do? I'll set this up and I'll show you me cleaning that. All right, I got handy dandy tripod today, so I'm gonna show you just this. Hopefully it doesn't. I'll show you as clean as I can get this screen. So we saw how dirty that was. Obviously there's some water stains, and this has been in the sunlight for years. But nasty. You can hear in the background the police probably found me too. So if anybody wants to bail me out when they get here. But actually, this isn't too terrible. It's doing nothing for this stuff. I don't know if that shows on the camera. I'm going to bring you in a little closer on this. It's not doing really anything for this, but it's still worth a clean just to see. Am I wasting my time? I'm not, because it's going to be a huge difference. So this is about as good as I can get this. So see how this is. Not terrible, but I mean you can clearly see it's garbage. It's nasty. And then all right, so I guess I'll show you how I do this too. So hopefully this works out. In order to remove the spline. The spline is this stuff on the inside. At least that's what I read about when I was looking up how to do this yesterday. If I can do it, you can. What I'm doing is I'm looking at the corners and I'm trying to find the spot where it starts, and it looks like it starts right here. So there's a little baby cut. I'm gonna zoom in on this. There's a little baby cut in it right there that you can see. So this is the one I'm gonna end up trying to get out, like right in through here. So I'm just gonna use the flathead. Sorry for the background noise here. I don't know, something's going on in the neighborhood. Always something's going on. This might not be the right spot. Let's see. Nope, this is just a regular corner. Well, in any event, I'm taking it out from the corner here. But what I'm gonna do, this part's pretty satisfying. Just gonna pull this down. I'm gonna try not to rip or stretch this either. So I'm just gonna pull it down all the way. And basically this spline, this little rubber thing, is what keeps the, it's what keeps the screen in. I'm going to show you how to make it. So see how there's no extra screen here or anything like that too? I'll show you how to do that afterwards. This is a weird shot because I'm behind the tripod. But it is like, this part's awesome. I love pulling this stuff out. Yeah, I'm going to put it back down on the bed so you can see. But, yeah, so hopefully this shows. This part's just fun. Like, it's fun to pull that stuff out. And then, so that was the corner. All right, no big. So you're gonna have a corner where they come back together. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna pop out the old screen just from one side. And basically it's just, all the spline does, the spline basically keeps it in the groove here. So you can see that the screen I'm taking out is deformed there. Basically it has a little, like think of it as a little gutter in through there. So I'm gonna take that out, and I'll show you how I'm doing that. I'm just gonna pull it out all the way around. This is trash, so if it rips, no big. And, yeah, so look at this. It's nasty, nasty. So I'm gonna toss this, and then we'll get going on the new one. Alright, so for the purposes of what I'm doing, I bought this roll at Home Depot today. It's crap. It was one of the more expensive ones, but it has a defect in it that once you see it, you can't unsee it. So the tools I have my, oh, come on. Oh, thank God. So this is the screen, the spline tool, and then my DEWALT knife, just the utility knife on this. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to line this up square-ish. Doesn't really matter. I'm going to roll it over, and then I'm going to end up cutting this. If this is crooked, it's not going to matter right now. All I'm doing is cutting it, So, and this stuff is pretty easy to cut. I'm just making sure it covers all sides, all 4 sides. I'm just gonna cut this, and I'm just going against the, I'm not even sure what this is, this like tough liner or whatever the hell that is, spray-in bed liner. So basically I have this laid out like this, and then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start the process, and I'm gonna show you a little bit better how I do that. One tip, I'm not even gonna call this a pro tip because I have no idea really what I'm doing. As I line this up, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take the spline and figure out where the angles are, so that I know, hey, this here is the long side because of the angle, so that means this is gonna be a top. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start with a top one over here just so we can see it better. I'm just gonna kind of line this up here. I'm not actually putting it all the way in, and I'm gonna pause the video so I can show you actually what I'm doing with this stuff, because this part might be a little bit helpful, possibly a little bit more helpful to see what I'm doing here. So basically the spline is here. I'm gonna line this up. I'm not getting it right to the end. I'm just gonna start it there. And I toiled over this once before, like, oh my god, the squares have to be lined up. They don't. This is like, it's nothingness. So what I'm going to do is I'm basically just going to make sure that goes across that way, and I'm going to use the tool to basically push that in, and then we'll see it. I'm gonna set the camera up so we can see this a little bit better as I do it, and then I'm going to be turning the frame just to keep the side that I'm working on proximal towards me, not as opposed to far away from me, from medically speaking. I'm going to stand over this side so you can see what I'm doing. I'm basically just taking the tool, pushing it in. The tool has a little bit of I can't see that. The tool has a little bit of a groove in it. I'm just going to push this in and ride it across. In general, this top side doesn't really matter too much. From a standpoint of like lining it up and whatnot. The other sides will. Another trick that I'm doing here is I'm grabbing the screen in my fingers and pulling away while I stabilize from the frame as I do this. I just want to make sure this is lined up properly though as I do that stuff. So I'm just going like this, kind of holding it all together. So I'm just pushing it in like this, rolling it, rolling it, rolling it, rolling it. And then I'm gonna check it out. I'm gonna go back over it just to make sure that's in. And don't be worried. See how I went over that? I went over the screen right in that spot. Don't worry about that stuff too much. On this side, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to push it in with the flat head a little bit better, just to make sure that's cool. And then, so that's the top one. And I'll do a close up right now to show you exactly like how not great it is. Sorry for the video problem there. This is like not great, right? But later on it's going to be, it'll be pulled tight from the other side. So right now it looks like crap. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the long side this way. But I'm going to flip this around. I'll show you me flipping it just so you know what I'm talking about. I'm going to flip this around this way so that now it's working towards my belly. All right, so that'll be the next part. I want to get a better shot at what I'm doing on the camera. And then, I'm sorry, in the corner. So I'm just going to pull this back a little bit again using my stabilizing. And notice I've never had one come out exactly the same, which means I'm stretching the spline as I do this. Because the distance from here to here is certainly greater than filling that channel on the far side there. But what I'm going to do on this one is I'm just going to pull this up towards me a little bit. Not that this really matters too much. And I'm going to turn this. So big deal. Make sure when you're starting the corner, make sure you put the screen on top of the frame and then the spline on top of that. You don't want to you don't want to do what I've done and then realize you're halfway down and you're like, uh-oh, it's on the wrong side, or you got something tangled in it. But yeah, so I'll go back to this one, see if I can see this on the corner. I'm not sure if I can. Let's see that. So on the corner part, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take this in here, wrap it around the corner. I'm going to push it in, and what's going to happen when I push it in with the flathead, it's going to take up the slack in this corner here, and I want to make sure I'm not stabbing it. I'm kind of use the fatter part of that to get that in the corner that way. And I'm going to tuck this in, and I'm just going to make sure it's in. As I said, don't stab it. There I am. Die, kid. So that one's in. And then if you can see the corner here, it actually looks pretty decent. If you were to look at a line along this, it's pretty okay at this point. And then I'll show you. I don't know. I guess I'll show you me rolling it away from you. Let me get that set up like that. Let me actually zoom out a little bit. So when I'm doing this, what I like to do is and this is the second side. So like I've done one side. So all I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of pull this down a little bit this way and make sure that I'm not, I'm kind of making sure there's not a lot of slack in through here. It doesn't really matter too much. I'm just sliding it in. Again, this part is so simple. It's just following it all the way down. I'm getting nervous because I'm like, oh, I'm going to be close on that side because I have too much overhang on this side. And then, so you can hear that radio in the background. So where I live, it's more important to have a loud radio in your car than it is to have a car that's mechanically okay. It's priorities. But, what are you going to do? To each their own. All right, so again, I have that in. I'm going to roll over it again just to make sure that it's in fully and that there are no high points. So I'm just going to visually inspect it all the way down. Looks pretty good. I'm going to take you guys over to this side for the corner and then see if we can see that. So now I'm at the corner again on this side. And then what I'm going to do, again, I'm off. See, I'm off on this stuff. On this one, it's going to be a little bit more important to kind of pull a little bit. And what I'm going to do is, again, this stuff is going to disappear when I tuck the spline in. But I'm going to tuck like this, get here, and I'm going to move my way back towards the corner that way. Not that it matters at all, but... And then I'm just going to make sure this corner is all set first. I'm going to roll it a little bit to the corner. Start my roll here, and then pretty decent. So you'll notice on this, or probably you I don't know if you can notice it from that angle, there's a little like bumpy bump here. When we're doing the far side, we're gonna pull that. The tension is going to pull that tight. So don't worry that there's a visible lump and bump all the way down. So I'm going to, you know what I'll do? I'll do this down this way away from me, just so you can see what I'm doing in this. So again, on this one, because I'm going to use tension on this one on both sides, so I'm going to use a little bit of baby tension this way as I start, just to start it out. So I'm just trying to spread that a tiny bit, and to make sure I'm in there. And then pushing the spline in is going to pull. It's going to pull the screen up towards me anyway. I want the corner to be okay, so I'm just going to line this up a little bit like that, keep the tension with my finger, and roll it. Like honestly, if I can do this, I'm an idiot with fixing stuff and doing stuff around the house. I'm book smart, but I'm an idiot with regular stuff. So if I can do this stuff, like anybody can. So I'm going to spin that around. I'll show you the spin too, so I'm on that last part now. So I have the last part, spline, everything's on top. Wind's picking up a little bit. You can see see this part kicking over. I don't want that to kick over too much. So I'm going to tuck it. I'm just going to tuck it like that. So the issue now is making that last side. Here, I'll show you what I got going on. Hey, I'm back. Making that last side look like it's going to be decent. So to show you what I have at this point, it's pretty decent, like all the way around screen, as you would see. I'm dangerously close over here. Not too much, because I only need a little bit to go into to push the spline into the groove here. It's maybe like three or four squares that will go in there, but I should have been smarter about that. But yeah, so I'm going to do the last corner now. I'm going to see if I can mount this up a little bit better and show you guys how I'm actually doing this. Right, so I'm back. I'm pulling this across a little bit like this. So I'm just pulling this part towards me, like towards the camera, just to make sure that there's not going to be a lot of slack right there. So this little part might bubble in a second, but it shouldn't be too much of an issue. Again, I'm going to tuck this in the corner using the flathead portion of the tool, and then we're we're good to go on this. So now that I'm in there, I have a nice little area in through here. There's a palpable change in tension as I go across this way, and I'm assuming that's gonna, as this part gets, it's right through here. It's not visible, like even if I get down on it, it's not visible, but it's palpable. Like I can feel the little bumps and the gives. That's gonna go away as I go down, and across. The big deal with this is you don't want to pull this too tightly towards you. I saw another dude who puts his hand in there and then lets the spline and the roller create that tension. I like a little bit more tension on the screen. I don't like it as loose, but I mean, you can search for that dude's video. I'm not sure who it was. I watched it for a few seconds just to see if I was qualified to do this stuff, but let's see if I can see that. So I'm just going to slide this in a little bit here. And again, I'm keeping my fingers on the frame on the screen here, and that's what's creating that tension for me. Alright, so I'm going to show you from the side now as I go down. And I'll see if I can zoom in a little bit to at least catch up to where I'm at. And that should be okay-ish. So I'm zoomed in a little bit. Again, I'm going to take the spline and take it down this way. All I'm doing is I'm keeping a little bit of finger pressure on this side of that, which is going to keep the tension on this side. You don't want too much though, because it's as you push that in, the spline is basically causing the tension of this side to get pulled this way, which is going to make the screen flat. This area is still a little palpably off, but no big. I'm just going to roll this the rest of the way. Oops, violated my little rule of tension there. But you'll see that really won't make a huge difference. What is making a difference is my inability to, there we go, to roll it. I was holding too much pressure on it, so it wasn't letting me the screen in. Again, I'm going to visually inspect it. Visibly to you guys, but visually to me. And then I'm just going to check it out, make sure the corners, I like to double check the corners, and then I'll show you what I got going on. So this is all in. Let's see, this is all in. I'm going to take the camera, I can't hold this thing. We are all in on this. So here I am. I'm at the corner at the end. You know, I have a little bit of extra spline. I'll show you how to cut that. It's pretty easy. But let's see the screen. Pretty decent. Nice. All right. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to cut this. To cut that, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to make sure it's pushed in to the corner area here. So I'm going to push it in with that. And then I have this extra part sticking up. All I do with this is I just take my knife and give a little baby pressure on it, rock it back and forth, and then I pull it. Because I don't want to cut the screen at this point yet, but I may, because I can't hold this and do that at the same time. I'm just going to twist it to show you. I had already cut through, but I'm twisting it just to get it off decent. And then I'm going to, but that nub sticking up is killing me. You can see that right there. I got to make that thing disappear. Boink. Boink. Yeah, so now it's a decent thing. So I guess my trick now, so now we have to cut the screen. So we have all this extra screen on the side. And then the first couple times I did it, I was cutting kind of along a line like this, like down here, and leaving it. That sounded funny. I'm missing maturity today. So what I decided to do instead, because it bothered me on one of the upstairs windows that I could still see, some remnants in this area on the screen from the inside of the window when it was open. So what I'm going to do in this is I'm going to use my knife. I'm going to try to zoom in on this so you can see, because I'm not going to be able to do this on the. I'm going to take my knife in this area. I'm not going to hit the spline, but I'm certainly going to be on this side of this. So I'm just going to come in like this and cut across. So it doesn't require much pressure. I'm just cutting this. surprised that the camera is actually keeping up with this. So I'm stabilizing with my hand over here. I mean, this is not the way you want to do it. You want to do this with 2 hands. This would be much better with an assistant. But I'm using the inside part of the frame, not hitting the spline as a means of cutting that. So I'm going to get to the edge, and then I'm going to show you how I trim that away now. So I'll show you how I trim that away. It's going to work better with my phone on the using the phone stand. So I'm just going to come across here and cut the rest of this pretty easily. I'm going to make sure I don't pull this up because I'm not sure where it's cut. So I'm going to tug this to show, hey, that cut all the way down. This part a little bit in here didn't cut through, so I'm just going to kind of go over it. If it's on the corner like that, it doesn't really matter too much. I'm just going to see where it is by pulling it a little bit. And then I'm going to take that out that way. So again, I'm okay with that because what I'll do is here, I'm going to cut this down. So what I'll be able to do on this side is I'm going to cut that, I'll cut this down this way. So again, I'm using the inside part of the frame. And just to show you where I'm at, once I get that started. At the corners is the only part where you got to make sure it's getting it. And then, how satisfying is that? I mean, that's awesome. I'm gonna show you the rest of this side just because it's, so this side I didn't get a little bit here, so that's okay. I'm just gonna go back in, recut it, there we go. So nice, all the way around. The corner again, always tricky. You can even come in, do a little baby bit like this. I'm just gonna use the frame to make sure I get through it and get across that way. And then I'm just gonna throw my scraps over to the side for now. The wind might blow it back in my face. I'll do this part away from me or distally to where I am, just so you can see, what I'm doing here. So again, we're gonna start at that corner here. I'm just gonna find the spot where it is and just kind of work through a little bit. That's gonna be the tough spot. That's a terrible angle. I'm gonna bring it back towards me because I'm blocking it with a knife. Yeah, so I'm gonna bring it back towards me. I am 100% idiot because I can't figure out how not to block that. So I'm just gonna hold this here. I'm gonna use the knife on the inside part of that frame and come in this way again. Just trying to minimize, I'll show you as I go down too, just trying to minimize the, let me make that a little bit wider. Just trying to minimize the amount of leftover that's going to be there. And just to show you, I'll pull that away like that. So that's, I mean, that's pretty clean. Again, the corners, ugh, I can clean that up afterwards. Ugh, it's one of the Lee sisters, Ugg, Gast, or Home, I'm not sure. You take your pick. I'm going to go right down to the corner just because I can. And then I'm going to make sure that comes up. I think I was getting on the spline at the end there. I'm not too worried about that anyway. I have a whole nother thing of spline. On the spline, on the topic of spline, in general, the type of screen that you're buying is going to determine the thickness of the spline. I think, correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but my hunch is that this part here, the trough or whatever you want to call that, the gutter, the gully, might be standard, and then the spline changes based on what type of screen or replacement screen you're using. So for instance, this screen calls for a 0.140. I know there's 0.125. I know there's 0.170 that you can buy. I didn't know what it was, so I bought a bunch of them. You don't need it. It's based. In this case, I've been using the ones. This is 21 years old, and the spline is still fine. Yeah, we're rhyming today. But I'm gonna take this off over here. This is a long vid. Sorry, guys. It's the details actually matter on this stuff. I'm not gonna pardon me. I'm not gonna mess around cutting. What I'm gonna try to do is just try to take it around the corner there on the inside. See if I can get it. Just because I gotta go on the top. Man, those corners aren't the best. But I'm gonna come down through here. Again, I'm just gonna apply a little baby bit of pressure here. I'm gonna come through using the inside part of the bottom of the frame. Turn you this way. How'd that cut go? Pretty well. Down this way. Move the camera so you can see pretty well. Sweet. And then that's the end. Oh man, I got one more side. Shoot. So I'm gonna cut that corner, I don't mind scraping this. This is going to be the outside part on those skylights. I'll do this towards you guys. Oh, you could hear something there. So I was on the spline on that one because the phone's in the way. I'm going to back the phone up a little bit. I'm going to make sure my angle is a little bit better, because I angled the knife too far down. You're going to hit the spline that way. Let's make sure I get that corner there. There we go. I'm out of the corner. Okay. Now I can pull it up as I'm doing it. Oops. That'll happen. But it's cheating you out of seeing my big fat belly in the way. How we doing on this? A little spot stuck there. Pretty decent. Pretty decent. I might need a new tip on the knife. Back down here. I don't know if you can see that. I might cut this out afterwards. Man, there it is. So let's just get this last part here. Just gonna saw it across. So I'll show you the finished product again. Now I have this big scrap over here, and it is gonna rain. So here we're at. Let's do the visual inspection of what's going on. Screen is in. This is the side. I don't like the way that's popping up a little bit. So again, you see those parts that are popping up a little bit here. Just want to tuck that. Oops, I don't want to bend the frame here. Tuck that part back in. I thought I had a defect in the screen. I do. No, that's just fabric, leftover scrap. But pretty good. Don't mind this at all. So this is the, I'll show you the screen now, standing up. So that's the screen. That's the tripod I was using. Hey, I'll put a link to this. This thing's pretty decent. The problem is I can't see my phone when I'm on it. So I don't know how people make YouTube videos. I'm terrible at it, but I like to try to figure out how to do stuff. So that's where I'm at. So I'm gonna go wash the window with this, and then get this going. I gotta get this stuff inside though. It's gonna rain.